after you wedge your clay and you form it into a ball, you're going to make this nice little elongated part. I just take my hand and pinch this section forward. This is going to become your mouthpiece. All right. If you get some cracking happening, that's okay. You can just smooth it out later. So I have this nice elongated part and this rounded piece on the back side. Now I want to make the top of my whistle where you're actually going to make the holes cut in. I'm going to make it flat by just tapping it on the table here. So I tapped it on the table. And then I'm going to take this time to smooth out where the mouthpiece is, because once you get your holes cut, you really don't want to be messing with the outside of your whistle here, because any slight movement and change of those angles is going to stop your whistle from working. So you want it to be smooth and ready to go right from the get-go. Okay, now that I have it smooth, I'm ready to make a hole in it, which is the next step on your worksheet if you follow along. So I'm going to take my finger here and I'm going to push it all the way in until I'm about at the top where this narrow section starts. This part, the mouthpiece, needs to stay solid. This back part all needs to be hollow. So my finger is going to go in about that far. Okay, I'm going to leave this top section solid, and I'm going to hollow this out by pinching around in a circle like we did with our pinch pots last project, okay? So I'm kind of pinching this circle around, making it no thicker than?
Quarter of an inch.
Quarter of an inch. How do you know what a quarter of an inch is?
Your pinky. Pancake.
Good. All right. So I'm pretty good here. You want to try to keep this back end as small as possible. It'll be easier to patch it later on. Again, I'm just going to make sure that that top surface is nice and flat and that the inside is nice and smooth. I have some tools up here that you guys can use, letter openers. I'm just going to use some modeling tools. I like the back end of the modeling tools. They work just as well. If you follow along on your worksheet, the first part we're going to do is we're going to cut a hole into the mouthpiece. You want it to go straight through the middle. You don't want it to be too close to the top or too close to the bottom. Your clay is going to get too thin. So we're going to go right through the middle. When I make my way through the hole, you want to be at the top part of this hole in here. So you want to be as close to the top surface of your whistle as you possibly can be, which I am. Okay? And you're going to kind of smooth out the clay that you just pushed out of the way. The next one's going to go straight through the top, and again, you want it to be as far back in this empty pocket as you can possibly get it. So I have my finger on the inside. I can feel about how far back I can go. These two tools are now at a 90-degree angle with each other, which is exactly what you want. So I'm going to pull this one out, keep pushing this one down, and kind of rock it back and forth so that the clay that I just pushed out of the way, I can remove with my finger on the inside. I'm just kind of smoothing it back out in there. Right? Clean that out of the way. The next part is going to be to make that 45-degree angle, which is going to force the air to go across that 45-degree angle, and that's going to give you your whistle. So I'm going to put this one back in the front, and I'm going to hold it facing away from me. I start about a quarter of an inch back from the hole that I had already made, and you're going to cut towards the mouthpiece at a 45-degree angle. The tip of this tool is touching the very bottom of this hole. So I'm going to rock this back and forth and take this little piece of clay out. Then I'm going to smooth my angles. So besides this part being a 45-degree angle, the sides and the front of your hole are going to be straight up and down. If they're not straight up and down, chances are it's not going to whistle past that hole. Okay? So I'm going to take these tools out, kind of use them to neaten up these edges here. All the sides are nice and flat. The inside I'm going to smooth out with my finger. This top part I'm going to take all these little burrs of clay away. Put my tools back in one last time, really smooth out those sides. Make sure that angle is nice and smooth and straight. Okay. When I pull this out of here, I'm going to cover this back part of my whistle here with my hand. You have to make sure that you have a nice connection. If you have air coming out of here, you're never going to get it to whistle no matter what you do. And you're just going to blow. So now I have a whistle. The last part, before you can start making it into an animal, is going to be to take a nice little flat pancake of clay. So I'm just going to take a ball, roll it in my hands, give it a few squeezes to get out any air bubbles. I'm gonna flatten it out so that it's a nice flat pancake, and I'm just gonna stick it over this hole here and smooth it into the surface. This is the one time you don't really have to worry about slipping and scoring, because of course you're gonna have an air bubble in there, right? But you already gave it a hole to escape from, so that part doesn't really matter. Once you have this smoothed into the surface, the next step is gonna be to make it into an animal. You can add things to it, you can carve into it, you can attach ears, noses, mouths. You can make it into an entire animal, body and all, or you could make it into just the head. So if I flip this over, I kind of see that maybe I would make this into, I don't know, like a duck. Like I could put 2 eyes here, put some feathers off the back, and this could be the duck's beak, okay? Or I could make it into a dog or a giraffe. Anything you want. Any animal will work. Does anybody have any questions?